Miranda Gordy, Zoe Stark, and Athena. No wonder you like to beat people up.
Yeah,
Uh,
a lot just made sense right now. I mean,
That was definitely something I like to do before. No.
oh,
what's up, heels and baby faces? We are back here at the Countdown City WrestleCast. I, of course, am that guy, Tommy. With me, my partner in crime, as always, Big Mike.
what's up, guys?
And we are honored, we are privileged, we are so fortunate to have the Bad Street Beauty herself, Miranda Gordy, joining us. Hey, Miranda, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, and of course, thank y'all for having me. I really appreciate it always.
Of course,
Well,
thank you for being
thank you so
here.
much for being here with us. Yeah, we got to see you quite a bit this past couple months in San Antonio. You've had at least two shows that I can remember off the top of my head with Branded Outlaw Wrestling and then River City, like not too far after that.
Yeah, of course, I've been to BOW before, and I was the women's champ, and so it was good to be back after almost a year. And that was my first time working for RCW, and I had the most fun. Like, that was so much fun. I loved everything about the show and everyone there, and hopefully they'll have me back because I had a great time.
Awesome.
Yeah, we
We
would love
annoy
that.
yeah, we annoy Brandon Oliver a lot, so we'll annoy him about that as well. So
Nice,
Yeah.
very nice.
so the funny thing is, usually when we start these interviews, we ask everyone who we talk to, like, was wrestling as part of your life growing up, or were you into it as a kid? That question's kind of moot when it comes to you. But honestly, I did want to ask, to be perfectly honest, were you that big a fan growing up, or was it just that thing your dad did?
Um, who wasn't a fan in the 90s, right?
Fair enough.
So
Fair enough. Fair enough.
yeah, it's like I didn't have a choice, but also my dad was a wrestler at the time. So, yes, as a 90s kid, I love China. She was my favorite, but DX for sure. Like
Yeah.
everyone that was Stone Cold, Undertaker, The Rock, all the legends. I definitely grew up watching them. Uh, because who didn't back then? Like, it was so good.
That's fair.
Um,
Yeah.
of course, my story's a little different. My dad passed in 2001, and I was not a fan past that, in the sense that I didn't watch it all the time. And of course, you grow up and, you go to high school and all that stuff, and you just fall out of time with it and stuff like that. But no, until I actually decided one day that I was going to be in the wrestling business as a wrestler, that space in between that, I wasn't, to be completely honest. So,
Okay.
yeah.
That's so totally fair.
Yeah.
So actually, that actually does kind of lead to my next question. Outside of it, was there, during that period, what else did you see yourself doing that you were like really aiming for as a goal?
So my first passion is animals.
Oh,
Right. I've always loved animals.
yeah.
I really wanted to like get into conservation, like hardcore. In seventh grade, I went to Costa Rica, and like I stayed in the rainforest because I was all about like I want to save it. And so, like that stuff, I got like some vet helper certifications, and I wanted to gear myself towards animal rescue, and I did do that. Uh, I rescued horses and like other livestock for a while when I still lived in Texas, like right before getting into wrestling. So that was what I used to do, and I kind of do that now. It's a little bit different. Now I'm just on a farm, but
I mean,
so yeah.
yeah.
So wait, hold on. When you go down to the rainforest in seventh grade,
I thought,
does a family member go with you, or there were like a organization that you were like meeting down there? How does that work at like 12, 13 years old?
So my best friend growing up, her mom was a science teacher, and she would get grants to take her students. And of course, I wasn't her student at the time, but because she was my best friend, I did like a fundraiser. And actually, I think that WWE helped. They contributed to that. Just to like a fun fact, kind of random,
Yeah.
but like I got the sponsorships and I did the fundraiser and got the money to go stay in Costa Rica for a week in the rainforest. I didn't do like it was a touristy thing, but it wasn't like the nice beaches and you see
Right.
like it was in the rainforest. There was definitely bugs in the room, you know. So, but yeah, like we did. Like we would actually hike through the rainforest and learn about the different stuff. And so I learned about all the cool animals and plants, and like I was in heaven as a 7th grader.
Okay, so I was going to ask that increased your love. It didn't scare you actually being out there with all that. Like it didn't turn you away from it.
No, I still loved it. I don't know if I would do that I would now that I'm grown up, but as a kid, I'm like, "Oh, I'm so sweaty. I don't know if I'll hike ever again." But no, as a grown up, I'm like, I wish I could go back, you know, and do it again. And you never know, I might save up enough or the opportunity might arise that I get to go do that, you know. But I would. It didn't scare me off. I would totally continue to learn about conservation and act in it and anything I could do from the home front.
That's awesome.
That's all.
Yeah.
If this wasn't the wrestling podcast, I would focus solely on my Costa Rica story. I would like you said that. I was like, can we just change it to what that talk is about? But wow, that sounds really cool. Okay. So that was your passion beforehand. So what actually led to you going into wrestling? So how did that happen?
Obviously, you know, it's always been there with my dad being, you know, so predominant in wrestling, and Michael Hayes being like my godfather and being a big part, and my brother, and I have some other family members, but it was always there. And I just got to a point in my life that I don't know. I had like a bunch of people kind of at once reach out and were like, "Hey, you should get into it." And I woke up one day and I was like, "Hey, I think I'll get into it." Really, like that's kind of as simple as it is. As I just like was like, I was like 27, 28 at the time. I'm like, if I'm ever going to do it, I'm kind of at the line where I'm still going to do it like healthy and have a shot and have a purpose and not just do it just to do it, like actually achieve some goals and stuff. And like I have a daughter. She just turned 12 in October, but I have a kiddo, and so like make her proud and do that stuff, you know, and have a good life and have a, you know, a mom that she can look on the TV or look on YouTube and be like, that's my mom. She's a badass.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, mom's doing body slams and saving the rainforest all at the same time.
Yeah.
So I found your debut was in 2019 May. Is that correct or?
June 7th, 2019. Yeah.
Okay. So your first match, do you remember what that was like, or how
I
that felt?
do. It was against Niles Plunk. So it was against Niles Plunk A. At I don't know if you've ever been to the MPX building in Bedford, Texas, but it wasn't an MPX show. It was actually Man Pondo's girl fight show. He was running at right. So
I think I saw
through.
advertising for that. Okay.
Right. I know there's a lot. But yeah, I definitely will never forget that because there was no air conditioner. It was my first match, so I'm green and I don't have the conditioning like I do now. And it was hot. And I remember being so blown up and just out of breath. But I was really proud of myself for going out there and doing it. And I think that it was a big deal, and it is a big deal. You train for so long, and especially something like that I wasn't a fan of, and it, like even though I grew up in it, like I still didn't know. You know, it wasn't like people are like, I can't wait to do it. And I'm like, I don't know if it's something I'm gonna love, but I loved it. Like I instantly loved it, and so really everything I do everything I get from this, it's like a learning experience and I never thought that I would. But even from that, like I learned that, hey, I can do all this cardio and I won't pass out if I get overheated. And from that to like, hey, I can go out in front of a crowd and do this thing that some people might think is silly, but it's really like a lot of hard work. And I put all this time, months of training, and I can go out there and do it and make it, Yeah.
That's awesome. So what was the training like? Was it everything you expected? Like, because like I said, you've been around it pretty much all your life. Was it what you expected to actually experience it for yourself, or better or worse? Or
I didn't know what to expect, but it hurt, and then it hurt a little less. As you get used to it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed training. It was, I look forward to it. Like whenever I really started getting into it and I kind of started getting the hang of things, and I had some wonderful people in my corner that just kind of popped up. Like I didn't seek them. It just kind of like the universe came together, and they were put in my life and they helped me. And it was like, hey, I get to go do this thing 2 or 3 times a week, and I get to learn something new. And, I learned a lot in a year, I feel, like going from not really knowing anything, because that's where I was. Like, I didn't really, like, of course, everyone knows what wrestling is, but really getting into the depth of it and the behind the scenes and spending that 9, 10 months, like, really learning all that from scratch I think, is a big deal. And I took a lot in and did things that I didn't think I could do, and every time I'd learn something new, like, hey, how can we do this cool move? Because I'd look, at highlights on YouTube or Instagram. I'm like, how do you do this? And they explain it. It's cool to watch and not know, and then to learn it. But the training was cool. I got in the best shape of my life. And I learned a new thing, which is the biggest deal, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I was just going to ask, as you're going through the training, where you're at, the school or whatever, was it like a decent mix of men and women? Was it mostly men? Were there other women training with you at the time? What was that kind of as you were going through that?
So it was kind of a mix. It wasn't an actual school until kind of later on. I got started at a private gym. They had a ring up.
Okay.
So a guy I used to manage named Randy Wayne got me in contact with he's an older promoter in Texas named Knight Davis, and he used to run XCW in North Texas, and he had a ring up, and he used to train some people, and so Randy got me in contact with him. And so Knight was my kind of main initial trainer, and he would bring people in that he's trained and people that he thought would be good to work with. And one of the first people that I actually got to train with was she's Zoe Starks, and on WWE right now. So Teresa is her name, but she went by Lacey Ryan on the Indies.
Ryan, that's right.
Yeah, Lacey Ryan. And so the year before she got signed, like she was helping me, her and her life partner, Tom Howard, who's an old school trainer who's he's trained people like Samoa Joe and John Cena, like out in California. They had like a school. And so I got some, like some great tips from him. And then later on, about 3 or 4 months into me actually starting matches, Knight Davis, my initial trainer, hooked up with Ember Moon, and they actually started a school. So then I had like, all like a lot of people, and it was a mix of boys and girls. Okay. So just people kind of coming in, like vets that came in initially in my training. It was a mix of a lot of people. So yeah, boys and girls.
Being a Gordy, Zoe Stark, and Athena. No wonder you like to beat people up.
Yeah, a lot just made sense right now.
Okay. That was definitely something I liked to do before. No.
Well, we did say as a Gordy.
They just took it to the next level, right?
well, honestly, like to beat people up. You could have stopped at Athena, and a lot would have made sense, actually. So one day she's going to see these interviews, and she's going to hit me.
Yeah. But in all fairness, Tommy, that's a long list in Texas. And
that's true too. Anyway, so 2019. So you're coming up on your 5th year, how has it been so far? Actually, like being on the road, traveling, going towns back and forth. How has that been? Has it been the same thing? Actually, has it been more or less what you expected, or how's that been for you?
I have loved it a lot. I like the actual like physical wrestling part of it. I
Mhm.
love that. Um, I love the travel and I love seeing new places and I love that before wrestling. I love traveling my whole life. Like I've always been a traveler and of course my dad traveled for work, but my grandmother was a travel agent and so she went around the world probably more than my dad. And so I had from both sides a traveler, and I really like that. Um, and I like meeting new people. I've met some of the best people ever in wrestling. Some of the worst, but some of the best. Definitely some of the best.
Nice.
And it's really been like a life changing experience. Like it really has. It's changed my entire life. And like not that I didn't have something before that like I had goals, but now I have something that I can constantly work towards. And
Yeah.
it's different every time. Like every time you reach a new level of something, like something else kind of comes up and so it challenges you and just doing things I never thought I would do has been kind of the coolest part. You know, you get out there and people look up to you and they you're their hero and stuff and that's also really cool and you're when you kind of step back and look at it you're doing things that uh I guess people wish they could do or are they let you do it and you get to kind of enjoy that you get to live vicariously and stuff and so like just appreciating that part of it.
What's some of the farthest places you've traveled or had matches or been able to go to because of this?
Japan's the big one. I
Mhm.
got to go to Japan in 2020, literally like right before everything shut down. Like
Yep.
like I
Yep.
got back and 2 weeks later, people started canceling shows and stuff. And because it was like the end of February. And of course, everybody over there, they were already wearing the mask and they had,
Yeah.
hand sanitizer and stuff. They were already taking precautions and it hadn't hit the States yet. But
Right.
I worked for DDT Pro. I
Nice.
did a show with them, and it was probably my favorite match. If y'all were going to ask me, I'll go ahead and answer.
I was gonna ask that.
So, and Saki, she just retired,
Yeah, she
and
did. That's right.
yeah, and so I had a match against her there, and it's my favorite. Not that it was great, because it wasn't. Like I was 6 months into matches, and so it wasn't a great match. It was just the environment, like the fact that I got to go to Japan, the fact that I got to be there and wrestle, and the history. Obviously, my dad being there, but like there was a language barrier, and I'm brand new to this, so just like getting through the match and like
Yeah.
surviving and doing it out in front of people and especially like the Japanese people
Yeah.
it was kind of nerve-wracking but just getting through that is like it kind of set the tone for me. It was like wow, I can really do this, like it's like Disneyland but better.
Awesome.
Kind
Awesome.
of,
Yes.
yeah.
Well, that actually does kind of lead to a question I wanted to ask. So with you have the family name, that kind of supports you with the wrestling, but it really is like you carving your own niche into it. Do you really focus so much on your dad's legacy, or are you just like I'm just doing my own thing? It is great that's my dad, but I'm just really doing my own thing.
um so I have focused a lot on it,
Hmm.
and I think that is because a lot of people like that.
Yeah.
Like I try to cater to what people like, and like I guess I could go out there and do it for me, but I'm kind of doing it for the fans. And from what I have received and stuff, a lot of people like that. They like the nostalgia. They like to remember it. And of course, I like to remember it, and I like to carry on the legacy. Um, There's been several times though where I'm like, I wonder if I change my name, or if I wonder if I change this, and if it would make a difference, and I can kind of go out there and do more of my own stuff. And that might be in the future. Like I might just show up, and you're like, who is this random person? It's me. I changed everything. um, but for now, like especially with everything coming up, like the Iron Claw movie and like the
Yeah.
WWE's, everything that's coming up and making the Freebirds relevant again, I think that I'll just play it by ear and stay the course, like seeing what people like. And I think right now they're gonna like the Bash. Who doesn't like Bash Street? First of all, that's like, why would I not use what's given to me?
True.
So, and it's working.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's sometimes though I kind of wish I was like, I want to start from scratch and do my own thing and not have that. Not that it's wonderful, not that it isn't one of the best things to have. Like I guess if some of the top tag team, I'll say the top tag team of all time. But my dad's own legacy and having that. But you never know. Like if I'm sure, let's just say hypothetically, I got signed to somewhere like WWE, I'd be someone new anyway, because that's just what they do.
Yeah.
So why not kind of use it right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And for fairness, the Freebird rule is something that you tell a wrestling fan they know. It's not the Road Warrior rule. It's not the Rock and Roll Express rule. It's the Freebird rule, and that's well known. So
yeah.
Yeah, and so like I think another cool thing that people probably don't realize, and I don't really put it out there, I'm learning a lot of this stuff for the first time.
Yeah.
So like as cool as it is for everyone else to see me and carry on that legacy, like it's a total learning experience. Like I learned about the Freebird rule. Like maybe in conversation I would have heard it, like Michael talking about it, and but like now I know for sure.
Right.
Like and stuff like that. Like I've learned so many things about my dad that I didn't know before, just because I didn't want to give it the time, and I had some hard feelings and stuff, and like I had the right to. But now, using this as a way to heal and to learn about my dad and embrace it and stuff, and so yeah, that's kind of what I'd like to do.
That's awesome.
Just keep learning,
Yeah, that is awesome. Well, I think also it's like I think sometimes just with kids appearance, because like with my dad, he was this big tough Marine and everything. It's like, yeah, that's just my dad. He's not that tough. He's an old guy. But with like for the other people, it's like that's a big deal, and I'm sure it's even more so for you. It's like the fans run up to you, it's like, oh, your dad was Terry Gordy, blah blah blah. You're like, yeah, I didn't know any of that.
Yeah, no, I've learned a lot of stuff like I wouldn't know. Like you're not gonna find the info on YouTube or Google, or you have to do like face to face. Like someone's actually telling you their story. Like, hey, your dad did this crazy or funny or heartfelt thing, and so even if it's just the tiniest, what your dad made 10 seconds of time to stop and take a picture, and that meant the world to someone. And so like it's like getting little pieces of him. And so I get to kind of put that in my little collection jar.
That's really cool. Awesome. I can tell you one quick little story that because I actually with Gary, I never actually got to meet Terry Gordy, but one of the first wrestling DVDs I ever bought was ECW Extreme Evolution, and he had a tag team match on there with Steve Williams against the Eliminators, and I watched that DVD like so much, I'm surprised he still plays. But yeah, I remember things like, because that was when I was first getting back into wrestling, and I had no idea who anyone on the DVD was except for Raven, which is the whole reason I bought it in the first place. And that's when I discovered all that. Then of course I went back and found everyone. So same story.
Well, see, I'm a little bit older, and I do remember the end of World Class Championship Wrestling, and then the beginning of WCW and NWA. So I remember the Freebirds and your dad from back then when I was a little kid, and stuff like that. I do have a question though, connecting with RCW, your recent show. Obviously, the Von Erich brothers, Kevin's sons, were there. Did you get to talk with them much? And obviously, you don't have to share what was said, but did you get to talk to them and anything like that?
I didn't get a lot of talking time with him. Any other show I've been on, like I've talked to him quite a bit.
Okay.
I did not at this show. They were main event and different locker rooms and stuff like that. So I didn't get a whole lot of time. But we said hi and hugged and all that. And it's always good to see them. Obviously, there's that connection, like that we'll always have.
Sure.
It's unspoken or whatever. And it's not like a deep connection. They're not like family, cousins, or anything, but
Yeah.
just the legacy and kind of knowing, because it was a big deal. It's history, and really, if you break it down, the Von Erichs and the Freebirds, they both put their lives on the line, and to entertain people, and I don't want to say the aftermath, but like it rains down. It kind of rained down to me, and it's trickled down as far as the outcome of it.
Yeah.
I don't know how to put it eloquently, but
Yeah.
just having the history there, and we're connected to that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure there is a ton of history, and like Mike said, we're not trying to have you go into that. That it's entirely your story and everything like that. But I really do think it's cool that you're carving like your own legacy here, even with the Gordy name, which is fine. I mean, because hey, Charlotte Flair is still happening, but she's even if her last name wasn't Flair, it wouldn't change as good as she is. It really wouldn't. She's still as talented, just like you, making your own legacy out here. So the name is great, but you're awesome all on your own.
Oh, thank you. I try to remember that. Like, if I ever sort of think like, man, am I just it is a name,
Right.
and that's kind of what I was left with, was a name and a legacy, which isn't, unless you're using it, it's not much.
Right.
But at the same time, it's not the Freebirds out here winning women's titles. It's not my dad out here bringing women's wrestling to, places like
Right.
Minnesota or Tennessee. So, like, I'm out here doing it. I'm out here at the gym every day. I'm out here taking the bumps and winning the matches and losing the matches, and taking the heat and stuff. So I always have that. It's not just a name. I'm putting in the work too.
You absolutely are, and that's the key thing too. Is like you're not just resting on your laurels. I've gotten, for those who don't know, I had the honor to be one of the cameraman at BOW, so I've gotten to film your matches firsthand, so I can confirm that you're taking those bumps, because I've gone, ooh, hell, that hurt. And actually, that did lead to a question I wanted to ask you. For Branded Outlaw Wrestling, you were the first women's champion, for the company. To know you're making history like that in places, how does that feel, to knowing that you're doing on your own?
It means the world to me. I love BOW. I love Clint. So I was very honored, and not to brag, but there's been quite a few places that have made me the first time champ, or have they really weren't focused on women's wrestling, and I showed up, and yeah, it's probably my name, and that's fine. If it brings women's wrestling, that's what I'll use Gordy for. It's if it took my name to get a belt there, or get women's wrestling to a place that wasn't there before, let's do it then. But I'm honored, and I appreciate every time a promoter does it, because they trust me with being their champ, which makes me, I represent their company as, I'll say, one half. You have your men's champ or your heavyweights champ, and then you have your women's champ. And so you're the face of that company. And I always take it as an honor. Anytime someone wants to put a belt on me, no matter how big or small the company is, like I am very proud of it every time.
Awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
Definitely. Quick question. When your time with BOW and having Tommy there as a cameraman, have you really never wanted to hit him or slam him? Because it happens a lot, and we'd understand. But
I just assume all that camera equipment is really expensive.
Okay,
so I
that's
just
good.
stay away.
That's smart.
So he's lucky. No.
Well, thanks, camera, for protecting me, because there are a lot of people I know I can take in a fight. Miranda, you are not one of them. So there.
Tommy's just walking around, even like when the show's not going on.
Hey, Miranda, good to see you.
And Clint's like, the show doesn't start for another hour. What is he doing?
Keeping myself safe.
So, you know, and you did allude to it a little bit ago, but what is your ultimate goal with pro wrestling? Or like, because like you said, you're right now you're just killing it on the indies. You're and you know you kill it at every show. But what is the ultimate goal for you? And it doesn't have to be what everyone else expects of you. Just like you personally, what is your goal?
Personally, I mean, my goal has always just been like maybe reach the potential, like whatever, like the highest that I can get, which some people is a contract. I think it's just happiness and freedom in it. And because there's a lot of people that just are in it and this is a voluntary thing and they're just miserable. And so, you know, and so really like I said, I love the travel and I love meeting all the people and stuff. And so really just having the freedom and making it a happy thing is always the number one goal. My cat is attacking my Christmas tree. Y'all see that?
I saw something. I was like, what?
I mean, I assumed it wasn't a ghost or something, but you never know.
That's my cat. All of my ornaments are like from here up, so it can't. Can't get it.
Yep.
Of course, I would love to work for any of the major companies and have a contract. Because who wouldn't? You know, that's why we all get into it. Either WWE or AEW. I like them both the same. I think they're both great companies. And really any of the more independent ones, NWA, Impact, TNA's back, I guess, ROH, any of those. Like anywhere that anybody wants to see me and it, you know, brings a smile to fans' faces to see me in that company and I can at least make a living or make it so that it puts me somewhere else, maybe higher, like an acting career, or it opens another door. Like some people use places like the WWE to open other doors for them, you know, because it's so huge. It's not just wrestling; it's an entertainment company, and so we'll see. We'll see any of that, but the main goal is definitely just make it a fun, happy thing to do. You know, before I can't do it. Because there's going to be a day that I can't, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So just make the most out of it.
Okay. That's awesome.
Kind of along those lines then, as far as like a goal, is there any like state or country you haven't wrestled in that you would like to do soon?
Yes. Of course, I would love to go back to Japan. I would just be there, you know, because it's really cool. It's a cool, like their culture and the country. It's totally different, and just being there is cool. Without the wrestling, but wrestling there it has a special place in my heart because that's when I was growing up. My dad was working for All Japan, and so that was real big, and that's kind of what I grew up knowing is All Japan. So that was a big deal growing up. So I would love it, but I think anywhere in Europe. That's kind of the next big goal is, like a Germany or, you know, the UK or something like that would be really cool because I've never been there, but to also be able to wrestle there would just be like the bee's knees. So
that's awesome. What's in the UK? Pro Wrestling Eve, I think, is one of the bigger ones.
Is it WXW? Is a one in Germany?
That's Germany, and then I think Rev Pro does have a women's title, if I'm not mistaken.
Probably.
Okay, cool.
So yeah. I mean, well, sky's the limit. I don't see why you can't go there at some point soon. So it's because every time I see you in the ring, like legitimately, like you keep getting better and better. One of my favorite matches I've seen you in thus far was you versus Maddie Maddie Rinkowski at RCW. That match was just so much fun to watch because Maddie's fun anyway, but just to see you two in the ring was just great. So
we do apologize for the Cholas. They are becoming quite a menace and quite a problem there.
What the heck is up with that? Y'all need to.
if you need to come back and even have like a handicap match,
Yeah.
against them, I think we'll be cool with that.
Well, me and Mike can distract them. We'll just bring a box of hot Cheetos next time and just like
Hot Cheetos, Big
yeah.
Red,
Yeah.
it'll get them.
Now they're going to see this, and they are going to beat me up next time they see it.
Oh no. Yeah, the match with Maddie was a lot of fun. Maddie is a fun person. So her and I worked at SWE together a couple years ago, and I wanted the match. Of course, SWE shut down. So I'm really happy that I finally got to have a match with her, actually, because she's someone I've wanted to have a match with. And it was fun, even though she won. And she cheated. But
don't forget, she cheated. So don't worry about that part.
Which is a big, and she cheated! Exclamation point.
Yeah. That, of course, with most Maddie matches, that you have to add that in. Mike, did you have any other questions or?
No, I think we covered a lot of the cool things. I mean, kind of like you, we could talk about Costa Rica and the rainforest again, but I don't know how long you want to be on here. So maybe for another day.
Yeah.
Countdown City Conservation Cast or something like that.
Yeah, the food, excellent. The weather, think of like you're in your bathroom and you have the shower cranked all the way to hot, and it's so steamy. Like,
that does not sound cool.
Yeah, no, I got my hair braided and it stayed that way, no makeup. Like, it's just steamy hot, you know, but it's beautiful. I recommend it. You don't have to stay in the rainforest. There's plenty of beach. There's also a volcano. So, yeah.
Well, Mike, that's it. We're going to Costa Rica. Well, Miranda, we really appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much for your time. Hopefully, we can have you back sometime soon. And just
absolutely. Y'all just let me know.
Yeah, we're gonna like a little later on in your career when right before you get signed, because apparently it might be happening as a trend. We interview someone and like next thing we know they're getting a tryout somewhere. So I don't know. Yeah, so.
All right, let me know when y'all want to do this again.
Yeah, so we're holding on to the belief that Vince McMahon and Tony Khan are watching this, and it's just a fake belief.
Yeah. Christmas miracle right now.
You never know. Maybe that's why the cat's attacking the tree.
It's a sign.
Yeah. Well, Miranda, thank you so much. We really appreciate your time. Thank you for sharing your story and everything. And we really can't wait to have you back. And just congratulations on your career. And we cannot wait to see where you go from here.
Thank y'all so much for having me. I've enjoyed this. And I appreciate y'all keeping up with me and wanting to spend this time with me. So
thank you so much.
It was great.
Yeah, and so all the Fantasy geeks out there, thank you guys so much for joining us. And for Big Mike, I'm that guy Tommy, and we will see you guys soon. See you later.
Bye.